We're not saying that digging around certain sites will stir up ancient curses or open portals to other worlds, but we're not saying it won't either. What we do know is that ancient history has a way of revealing secrets that can chill you to the bone. Some discoveries shed light on how our ancestors lived, while others unveil horrors best left buried. From mass graves to cursed relics, the past isn't always as beautiful as we'd like to think. These are the moments when history becomes more than just stories. It becomes a haunting reminder of what humanity is capable of. Here are 15 of the most terrifying discoveries ever made in the entire history of humankind. Number 15. Dozens of shackled skeletons. During a 2016 construction project in downtown Athens, workers uncovered the Phaleron Delta Necropolis, a cemetery with over 1,500 ancient Greek citizens. While cemeteries aren't exactly rare, what truly stood out was a smaller chamber containing over 80 skeletons, their hands shackled above their heads. Many of the bodies were stacked on top of one another, hinting at a rushed, chilling burial. The victims were young and healthy, with no clear cause of death, but evidence points to a mass execution. Historians believe they were the true followers of Cylon, an Athenian noble and Olympic champion who led a failed coup in 632 BC. After his escape, his captured supporters were executed and buried with little ceremony, shackles still intact. Why leave the restraints? Well, it's unclear. Perhaps the Greeks feared the dead might rise again, or maybe they simply didn't bother reclaiming the chains. Either way, this eerie discovery offers a haunting glimpse into Athens' darker past. We mean, who and why would anyone bury so many people with shackled hands? Number 14. Screaming mummy. We might scream when we're surprised or when we feel joy, excitement, or even terror. But when you look at this mummy, you'll be left with an unsettling chill. Known as Man-E, this ancient figure was unwrapped in 1886 by Gaston Maspero, head of the Egyptian Antiquities Service. Found in a plain coffin wrapped in sheepskin, he seemed ordinary at first, until they saw his cute face. Frozen in what looked like a scream, with his hands and feet bound tightly, the sight was anything but ordinary. Scientists believe he may have been poisoned or even buried alive, given the contracted posture of his body. Strangely, he wasn't embalmed in the traditional way, and his organs were still intact. Maspero speculated that Man-E might be Prince Pentawere, the son of Rameses III, who was part of a failed plot to assassinate the pharaoh. His haunting expression still captures imaginations and chills spines to this day. Number 13. The Altamura Man. Imagine you're a speleologist. Also, imagine you know that speleology is the scientific study of caves. You're going about your day, studying the rocks of the Lama Lunga cave network near Altamura, Italy, when your flashlight beam lands on this, a figure, eerily encased in calcified deposits, staring back at you. For a split second, you might think you've stumbled upon some ancient reptilian humanoid. But what you're actually looking at is Altamura Man, a Neanderthal who met an unfortunate end around 150,000 years ago. The story goes that he fell into a sinkhole while hunting mammoths and, unable to escape, died of starvation. Over time, calcium carbonate built up around his body, preserving him in a hauntingly unique way. It's as if the cave itself slowly ingested him, and honestly, it still is. Researchers left the skeleton in place to avoid damage, but decades later, they analyzed a shoulder fragment. Turns out, he's the oldest Neanderthal ever discovered. Thanks to laser scans, artists reconstructed his rugged features, revealing a face that seems both haunting and intimidating. Are humans that strong and strong? Number 12. The Aztec shrieking death whistles. While excavating an Aztec temple near Mexico City, archaeologists uncovered something both fascinating and bone-chilling: a human skeleton clutching skull-shaped whistles in each hand. Known as the whistles of death, these ancient instruments produce a sound so eerie it feels like it came straight from the depths of the underworld. When blown, the whistle emits a wail so haunting it's been likened to the screams of tortured souls. Some believe these sounds accompanied sacrificial rituals, adding an unsettling soundtrack to already horrifying ceremonies. Others suggest the Aztecs used them as psychological weapons in battle, unleashing waves of these terrifying shrieks to intimidate their enemies. Imagine standing on a battlefield, hearing hundreds of these whistles wail in unison, an auditory nightmare that could paralyze even the bravest warrior. Whether used in sacrifice or warfare, the death whistles are a testament to the Aztecs' ability to harness fear, even through sound. Number 11. The man-eating animals of Teotihuacan. In the ancient city of Teotihuacan, archaeologists uncovered a chilling discovery, a den where jaguars, pumas, and other predators were kept by priests. These fierce creatures weren't just pets, they were part of the city's gruesome rituals. The bones of animals and humans were found scattered throughout the den, revealing a macabre truth. Testing showed that the animals had consumed maize, not directly, but through the flesh of human sacrifices. Wall murals further confirmed the horrifying practice, depicting these predators devouring human hearts. It seems priests would drag individuals into these dens, throwing them to the beasts as offerings to the gods. Whether it was a form of punishment or part of a religious ritual, the result was the same: a brutal end for the victims and a stark reminder of the lengths ancient societies went to appease their deities. Number 10. A mysterious Japanese mermaid mummy. At the Anjuin Temple in Japan, an eerie artifact known as the mummified mermaid has baffled people for centuries. Allegedly caught in a fishing net off Kochi's coast during the Genbun era, 1736 to 1740, it was revered as a sacred object. For years, its true nature remained a mystery, sparking legends of mystical powers and long life. Recent research, however, unveiled the truth. This mermaid is an intricately crafted talisman. Scientists discovered it was made from animal bones, pufferfish skin, and strands of animal hair, meticulously combined to create a grotesque figure. It's believed to have been a charm for longevity, reflecting the deep spiritual traditions of the time. Though it's far from a real mermaid, the craftsmanship speaks to the lengths ancient people went to instill hope and protection. The mummified figure remains a fascinating blend of myth, superstition, and ingenuity, an artifact that continues to captivate imaginations. Number 9. Bog Bodies. Bog bodies are among the most unsettling archaeological discoveries. Preserved for millennia in Europe's peat bogs, these cadavers retain remarkably lifelike features, including skin, hair, and even internal organs. The unique chemistry of peat creates an environment that preserves bodies in haunting detail, making them both fascinating and eerie. One of the oldest bog bodies, the Kolbjerg man, dates back to around 8000 BCE. However, the Tallinn man is perhaps the most famous. Discovered in Denmark in 1950, his body was so well preserved that he appeared to be peacefully sleeping. A rope around his neck revealed his tragic end, likely hanged as a form of ritual sacrifice. These bodies provide invaluable insights into ancient lives, but they also raise questions about the violence and beliefs of the past. Each face, frozen in time, offers a haunting reminder of humanity's complex relationship with life and death. All right, now let's move to Number 8. Pit of Death. In 2012, construction workers in France stumbled upon a grim discovery, a pit packed with human bones. Measuring about 6.5 feet deep and 5 feet in diameter, it contained a jumbled mass of severed limbs, including arms, fingers, and the skeletons of infants, children, and adults. At least 7 upper arms were identified, along with 7 full skeletons tossed haphazardly on top. Among them was a middle-aged man with a severed arm and a head injury, likely indicating a violent death. Carbon dating revealed the remains were over 5,000 years old. Researchers believe these bones were casualties of war or victims of brutal Neolithic justice. Some may have been executed, while others could have perished in tribal conflict. The scene paints a chilling picture of ancient violence and survival, a snapshot of humanity's darker past, etched into history through the bones left behind. Number 7. The Filipino Fire Mummies. The fire mummies of the Philippines aren't supernatural entities, but their preservation process is bizarre enough to spark unease. The Ibaloi tribe, an ancient culture in northern Luzon, practiced a unique method of mummification that began while the individual was still alive. As death approached, the person drank a saltwater solution to start the preservation from within. After death, the body was rubbed with herbs and smoked over low heat for weeks, sometimes months. Tobacco smoke was even blown into the corpse to dry it out completely. Once mummified, these compact bodies were placed in small, nut-sized wooden coffins and stored in burial caves. The process preserved tattoos and features in striking detail, creating an eerie connection to the past. The practice ended in the 1500s due to Spanish colonization, but the fire mummies remain a testament to the Ibaloi's intricate rituals and their deep respect for the dead. Number 6. Polish vampire burials. In Poland, archaeologists have uncovered chilling graves dating back to the 1600s and 1700s, where the deceased were buried with sickles across their necks or rocks lodged under their chins. These measures weren't accidental, they were meant to prevent the dead from rising as vampires. At the Drosko Cemetery, researchers discovered that these so-called vampires were often victims of diseases like cholera. The epidemic's rapid spread caused panic, leading locals to believe the dead could return to harm the living. Though modern science has debunked these superstitions, the graves provide a glimpse into the fear and folklore of the time. The precautions taken, rooted in a mix of fear and desperation, reveal how deeply the idea of the undead influenced early communities. These vampire burials stand as haunting reminders of how myths shaped ancient practices. Number 5. Remnants of a witch hunt. In Aberdeen, Scotland, a chilling relic of the 16th century witch trials still stands. A stone pillar with an iron ring believed to have restrained accused witches during interrogations. This grim artifact is located in St. Mary's Chapel, once a prison for those accused of witchcraft. Aberdeen's Great Witch Hunt of 1597 saw over 400 people tried for witchcraft, with around 200 executed in just 8 months. The deaths were gruesome, with victims strangled and burned at the stake. One notable case involved Jane Wishart and her son Thomas Laius, both convicted and brutally executed. This pillar serves as a somber reminder of the hysteria that gripped communities during the witch trials. It's a symbol of the fear, superstition, and brutal justice that shaped one of the darkest chapters in Scotland's history. Today, it stands as both a historical artifact and a warning against the dangers of mass paranoia. Number 4. Neanderthal Cannibals. In 2010, archaeologists unearthed the remains of at least 12 Neanderthals in El Cedron, Spain, a find that offered a haunting glimpse into prehistoric survival. These Neanderthals, believed to be a family group including men, women, teenagers, children, and an infant, met a gruesome end. The bones showed clear evidence of cannibalism, with cut marks and fractures consistent with the extraction of marrow. This wasn't the only case of Neanderthal cannibalism recorded. Researchers suggest that extreme hunger or harsh conditions likely drove these acts, as resources dwindled during difficult times. Interestingly, humans weren't around in Europe at that time, so the culprits were other Neanderthals. These findings remind us that survival in prehistoric times often meant taking desperate, horrifying measures. The discovery also challenges our understanding of Neanderthals, revealing their capacity for both familial bonds and acts of violence, painting a complex picture of our ancient relatives. Number 3. Ancient chemical warfare. Nearly 2,000 years ago, Roman soldiers defending the Syrian city of Dura met a horrifying fate. During a siege, Persian attackers dug tunnels under the city walls, while the Romans countered with their own tunnels. But the Persians were ready. They created a lethal trap. Using sulfur and bitumen, the Persians generated toxic petrochemical smoke in the tunnels. As the Romans approached, they were overwhelmed by the fumes, which likely caused their lungs to burn and collapse. Evidence from excavations in the 1920s and 1930s revealed skeletons of 20 Roman soldiers positioned in a way that suggested they died clawing at their armor, trying to escape the deadly gas. This gruesome incident is one of the earliest known examples of chemical warfare. The choking smoke was described by archaeologists as the fumes of hell, showing just how advanced and brutal ancient military tactics could be. Number 2. Books bound in human skin. Among the rare collections at Harvard University's Houghton Library lies Des Destinées de l'Âme, an unassuming book from the 1880s. However, it harbors a chilling secret. Its binding is made from human skin. The book, written by Arsène Houssaye, was gifted to Dr. Ludovic Boulon, who used the skin of an unclaimed female body for its cover. This practice, known as anthropodermic bibliophagy, was disturbingly common from the 16th to 19th centuries. While some books bound in the skin have been disproven, this one was confirmed authentic. Such books were often made from the remains of executed criminals, soldiers, or the destitute, with around 18 verified examples found globally. Though the idea may seem morbidly fascinating, it also raises unsettling ethical and historical questions about humanity's treatment of the dead. For collectors and researchers, these books represent a macabre intersection of history, science, and the darker side of human curiosity. Number 1. A necromancer's portal to the underworld. Deep in the Judean hills, Israeli archaeologists stumbled upon what could be evidence of ritual magic, a cave filled with artifacts that hint at necromancy. Inside, human skulls were arranged in patterns, surrounded by oil lamps, daggers, and axe heads. The combination of items suggests the cave may have been used for rituals involving communication with the dead. In ancient times, caves were considered gateways to the underworld, a space where the veil between the living and the dead was thin. The discovery of 120 gold, silver, and bronze coins nearby further supports the theory that this was no ordinary burial site, but a place for ceremonial practices. Whether it was a necromancer's workspace or simply a site for spiritual offerings, the cave paints a vivid picture of humanity's enduring fascination with death and the afterlife. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.